Is it okay to reuse passwords on unimportant sites? Hi, everyone. Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question I got. Does this, my attitude below, expose me in ways that I'm not aware of? I'd never reuse a password for financial, shopping, insurance, social media, email, or government sites. But I reuse a few easily memorable ones for subscriptions to web media comment sections. I do this only because sites annoyingly request re-entering a password periodically, and I don't want to interrupt my flow to look them up. On those sites, I don't care if someone hacks in, and no one would ever bother. Okay, I am going to question some of your assumptions, but I will also admit that, yep, I do it too. And it's not great. We all have gazillions of accounts that we need to manage. It can be a pain to manage all the associated passwords, even if you're using a password manager, which of course I strongly suggest. It might be kind of okay in some situations, but even then, it still comes with risks. All right, arguments in favor of reusing passwords, or at least perhaps maybe using less secure ones. It is less hassle. It absolutely. It makes account creation and login a bunch faster. Passwords you use often almost become muscle memory. It also reduces or avoids mental fatigue associated with all of those annoying and frequent stronger security measures. The justification, as you point out, is that not all accounts are created equal. Some are so unimportant that we don't care if that account gets hacked. Some sites just don't matter. Or do they? All right. The other side of the coin, the risks of reusing or using weak passwords. Once a password is discovered in a breach, hackers will try it everywhere. So they do bother, if you will, to use your terminology. If a password is revealed somehow, and pwned passwords will tell you if yours is known to be in the wild, then they absolutely will try that password across a wide variety of sites and services to see if it works. It's all automated, so it's trivial for hackers to set up and do. If that password is used for another account that is or has become even marginally important to you, you risk losing that other account. Of greater concern and easier to overlook is the fact that even unimportant sites have information hackers can use. Your name, your birthday, your email, links to your social sites, and more are all things that they can harvest and then use for targeted phishing emails or even identity theft. So even if account A has none of that information, if it gets hacked and it exposes your password, hackers may then use that password to access your account B or C or D or whatever, where, as it turns out, you might have more sensitive information. Even if that doesn't happen, any account that's compromised can be used to post spam or promote scams under your name. Ultimately, it can affect your reputation and your trustworthiness, even if it's just a comment section, even if it's just a forum. Now, as you know, I'm really vocal about password hygiene and security, but I realize that no matter what security experts suggest, people gonna people, right? People are going to continue to reuse passwords and set weak ones. As I said, I am still guilty of that myself at times. So, I do have some suggestions to make your life a little bit easier. Use a password manager. You knew this was coming, but it's one of the most important things you can do. It makes using long, strong passwords that are unique for every site easy. And it also makes it easy to respond to those annoying requests to enter your password yet again. It ultimately makes proper security easier. And we're both kind of doing this already, have tiers of importance. In other words, important versus unimportant sites. But before you say, well, I'm already doing this, I want you to rethink it. It is simply too easy for an account that we consider unimportant when we set it up to become more important than we thought, especially over time. Even then, if you can, don't reuse passwords. At worst, maybe dial back the complexity. Use email aliases. This is one that I think we don't leverage enough when we have it available to us. And it's an additional level of security to use a different email address for some accounts. You might use a throwaway Hotmail account, I guess, for less important things, or use a unique email address for every important account. The key here is that by varying the email address, you're making it that much harder for hackers to discover the correct email address and password combination for any specific account. It's not 100% effective, don't get me wrong, but it does make it more difficult to hack, even if a password is weak or reused. I'd have to throw out a few nevers, right? Never reuse passwords and always use strong passwords for your primary email account, an email account you use for account recovery on any other online account, an email account whose email address is the user ID for any other online account, an account that has information such as your birthday, answers to your security questions, phone numbers, and the like, an account that includes the history of your activity with that account, an account you use to publish or post information that can affect your reputation. When in doubt, use a strong, unique password and use a password manager to keep track of it all. I get the appeal. I really do. But I want you to think long and hard before you reuse a password. If you do, be aware of and be realistic about the risks you're taking. Online safety is worth the effort. Assuming the worst and doing the right thing for every site, regardless of how unimportant you might think it is by far the safest approach. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/182907. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.